Storm DJs Podcasts.
Welcome to the 28th episode of the Storm DJs Podcast, the DJ interviews. Today we have a very special guest who needs no introduction in the world of dance music. He's a German house music producer, label owner, and a seasoned DJ, making waves since the 90s. Get ready for an insightful conversation with the legendary Milk and Sugar, also known as Mike Kronenberger. I have to apologise for slightly messing up the dates and the times initially, but we got there eventually.
No problem.
I can only blame kids' holidays. The brand name, your artist name you've got as Milk and Sugar, it's Mike and Steve, right?
No, not really. It was always the story behind it, but because we have been two in the past. But it was actually discovered. Steve left the company and the group already 1.5 years ago. So I'm DJing on my own, and in many cases I have a singer with me. So it's totally a different concept.
Excellent.
Milk and Sugar Recordings was first, so it was always called Milk and Sugar, and then the act came later. So pretty much it was three years beforehand. But now we found a solution. We were discussing after working together for so long. You move on, you develop in different directions. As you said, you have kids, I have kids as well, like normal stuff. And at the end of the day, it felt like the right move to do this. And we found a solution on this, so everything is fine.
Excellent. Do you ever find if you're performing on your own, you have people in the crowd saying, where's the other half?
Not really. Actually, I'm really used to this because I come out of the German techno scene, and I was on my own traveling for years before I founded Milk and Sugar. When we did this with Milk and Sugar and having two guys, it felt really right at that time because it was not feeling great for me, being always on my own. At that stage, there were no tour managers involved. At the end of the day, it felt really, for me, like what was getting really weird, always in these hotel rooms. And so I was quite happy to do something else. And also with the German techno, I was not happy that much because it came from the underground and then it became really carnival. People wearing white gloves, having hoovers on the back and bullshit like that. Especially in Berlin, and played there as well beforehand, and then with Milk and Sugar as well. And this was like one of the biggest things in my life, performing on the truck. But the atmosphere was incredible. It was, I must admit, it was really, really good. But I feel not really cool with being in a crowd with so many people. But it was in the 90s, was different. Everything was very peaceful, and was a life-changing experience for me, definitely.
Sort of, you say you evolved out of the techno scene and stuff. How would you describe your current style?
I came from the techno scene. I was one of the few promoters here in my hometown in Munich. So I did like a lot of raves in the 90s. I also booked Prodigy, I booked Laurent Garnier, West Bam, and these guys. UK and house scene and the New York garage house. At that time, it was garage house, with Frankie Knuckles, Tony Humphries, and I was hanging a lot with Justin Bergman because my former booking manager was also managing Justin. So I was very often in London. My former girlfriend lived in London at that time, so I was hanging out a lot at any warehouse raves in the UK. I went to Ministry in the 90s, seeing all the guys, hanging with Justin, and so I got very much influence from this style. And now I think I play everything between house, tech house, but I must be a little bit edgy. I didn't play straight vocal house, more tooly. So it's a mixture. So it developed from the funky house back to a little bit more edgier.
Do you ever play out remixes of your most popular tracks or even the original versions? Do you still play them, or do you veer away from stuff that you've already produced and you sort of
No. There's nothing to shame. And Bonsai is now playing what's it called? Tomorrowland. After stages, everybody, the techno guys are redeveloping their sound. And so it's also part of my history. And also I play a lot Let the Sunshine, because I have pretty much every 2-3 years I have another guy remixing it. Last time it was Purple Disco Machine, because there's such a big demand on this record and people are loving it because it came from Ibiza, you know. So some of the records where I have update mixes I play a lot, but with the old ones every month a new release, so there's a lot to play. But of course classics as well, but it depends if it fits in the musical.
Do you find you sort of have a schedule where you go and sit down with all the latest releases, see what's new, see what's hot, sort of once a week, once a month? How do you sort of deal with new stuff?
I'm used to having my music Friday already since I started playing out vinyl. So I went Friday afternoon, I went to a record shop, had some coffee, had some cigarettes, and then listening to new music all afternoon, and then I catch the plane going somewhere playing. Yeah. And so pretty much I kept the routine. I'm not doing this on a Friday necessarily. Good thing is the shops open now 24 hours, so I'm listening to new music. I'm checking out a lot also on Instagram, what other guys are playing, if I like stuff. And then I don't play them all, but I like collecting music, and I like different genres as well. I really like deep house as well. Never play deep house, but sometimes, for example, if I play for Pacha in Munich, I do my warm-up as well. So I really like playing out really deep stuff as well and going then. So
you can sort of still see, you know, a bit of graphics on there, but now we're on complete digital MP3. The rest of it, you sort of...
Cover saved my life when I played out Space Terrace in Ibiza on Sundays, because you had like the red, the green, the yellow. Put them out, you know exactly where it was. And we had a couple of drinks there, so it's always good to see which color you want to play out. Nowadays, it's really harder with the. It's not clear if I play them out, but the ones I like, I put them on my phone, and I do a lot of running, and I go to the gym, so I always listen to new music on a daily basis. So I know all the records, so I know exactly which one I can play or which one fits in.
It's good to be able to get your head around it all and be able to...
Otherwise, it's not possible, because you can't play new records, because it's exactly how you say it. You don't have a color. The artwork is so tiny, you don't even remember if you bought it. Especially if you buy like 30 to 50 records a week. It's not possible at all.
It's sort of something that's become harder, hasn't it, with just sort of saturation of everything going on.
You need to spend more time on this, definitely.
Exactly. In terms of your past releases and your most like memorable tracks and stuff, which one stands out as being the number one for you that's made the most difference?
If something stands out for me, I think it's different for the crowd, because nowadays that's the problem of the music industry. You have like a spotlight on a track for about 2 weeks in the digital scene, so this makes it really hard with releases, and it stands only out if it goes top 10 in all the genre, like a Beatport track source. Then you will have it for a couple of weeks in there, or a month, and then the crowd will really see it. Otherwise, it's just a DJ tool. So this makes it really difficult, because you can't really rely on a record. In the past, we did like 2 tracks a year, and that was pretty much the thing. Nowadays, you have so many releases every week. Thousands and thousands. It was not so successful, the track. I think it was like top 20 on the DJ portals. But I think pretty much everybody played this record. So for me, it was really a good movement. I don't need necessarily having like hit records. It's cool to have hits, of course, it pays the rent. But you can't force it, you know. And especially... times changed a lot, so I pretty much liked it. It was really coming from the underground, and I saw pretty much everybody playing this record, so I felt really good with this.
Excellent. Looking forward into the future of everything DJing, how do you see the industry evolving over the next 5 to 10 years?
As I said, I've seen vinyl, I've seen CD, I've seen MP3, and now we're in the stream period. So it's really hard to say what will go on in 5 or 10 years, but Pioneer and like the DJ portals working together. You can play with the new MP3 with the new Pioneer CD players. You can download the stuff directly in the club. I always prefer having my stuff with me, and then I know it works. And if you do this, but you see the future, pretty much MP3 will disappear. So I don't know what's next, to be honest. But I also don't like having somebody paying €10 or £10 and pretty much having the whole family listening to the music. Even going to the petrol station buying a chewing gum is more expensive nowadays. Yeah. And that's not cool, because the value of an artist, as I said, we have a 2-week period on a track in average. Sometimes it's more, but I think this is the truth. And it costs a lot of effort. It costs money. You need to spend time. You need to pay the gear, the studio, of course. And then if you work in a house scene like I do, you need like a first-class singer. They all want their money. So at the end of the day, it's like a lot of money you have to invest and you have to bring. And if I see, if we're putting the light on the commercial tracks, majors nowadays, they don't have like visions anymore, in my opinion. They just want to see, what's on Shazam, which tracks are working, TikTok, let's release this. So you need to release yourself the music. You need to promote it yourself, and we can't stop it.
the dynamic of it might change in some way, I don't know, but we shall find out. The first step towards the performances, or is that sort of your view of it as well?
100%. Unless you are David Guetta or Robin Schulz, who are hammering out tons of hits, but they have also many people involved in the whole game. So the live performance, the income of the live performance is the major income stream. And of course, if you are then of course, if you have one of these records, you don't need to work anymore. Then that's done. But I don't know, there are not too many of these.
On my YouTube, it's probably not correct though, but this is just 31 million on the Milk and Sugar versus Vaya con Dios.
Oh, this is the one with the hit record. It was before the Spotify era, and so we were relying on downloads, and we also had CD sales and stuff. I'm not complaining, I'm just saying it's okay. But nowadays it's different. The music I do is different. It's more club driven. I come more from the clubs. So if you hear something in the internet, you can put the song in this program, and then you have stems out of it. I like the bass, I like the guitar, I like only the vocal, whatever. You have stems already. So I think it will be really hard to monetize this also for the major companies, because you don't even know where it comes from.
An AI element where they managed to get Johnny Cash to sing "I'm a Barbie Girl" in Johnny Cash style.
Jesus Christ!
It's very impressive. So have a search for that afterwards.
All right, but that's why you have this massive strike in the US with all the Writers Guild, and I think this will be also in the music scene, because the funny jokes with Johnny Cash, because he's like a serious singer in my eyes, and you shouldn't do Barbie Girl with him. I have nothing against Barbie Girl, and I love Dua Lipa. She's really cool, but everybody need to decide themselves if they want to do this or not, and that's exactly the problem of AI, because people are like messing around, and there's a gray zone. You don't have anything legal at the moment set up, so I think this will come sooner or later.
Yeah, I mean, through all the thinking that we've done on this side, is that there's got to be some sort of a track has been produced by the name that it came from, essentially, rather than something that says it's from a name, but you don't really know.
Yeah. But then I think you need to close Beatport and all the track source, because you have thousands and thousands of illegal samples up there,
No doubt.
But it's also cool to have it in the clubs, but there's some laws regulate this kind of stuff, because this is not going the right direction. I remember my first gig was in a German city called Mannheim, a club called Tiffany, and it was through the father of my best friend. He was an architect, and was involved somehow in building up the space, so he knew the promoter, the owner, and then he arranged it for me. So I was going with the car. It's like 4 hours from Munich with some friends, and then we slept in the back office of the club. It was a vinyl, but I think it was a single, not an album. But I have no clue what it was at that time. When we have been at school, my whole class was really obsessed with buying vinyl and singles, so we bought like everything. But I think it was some poppy stuff. There was some collection going on every week, and then we bought we ordered some vinyls, and then they shipped it to the school. It was really funny.
Very cool. That's ahead of its time then. That's very impressive.
Yeah. For the label, it was doing really well because we were selling records on the internet. So we sold more than ever. So this was doing really great. But personally, it was for the business side as an artist was not great, and restrictions because I've been outside on the countryside next to a lake, and there was nothing which was bothering us except we had to cook at home. So this was a really cool one, seeing the kids grow up.
That's good. Being German, I guess it's going to be an interesting answer, but what's your favorite sandwich? Can you describe that to us?
I'm obsessed with them. I'm not eating too much bread anyway, so I'm trying to avoid this, but pretzels are amazing. So if you coming down to Bavaria, this is the thing. It's so tasty. Don't get the Americans.
With your current sort of performance schedule and listening schedule and production schedule, have you got a morning routine that slots in with all of that? And that sort of makes you wake up, doesn't it?
Yeah. I'm not a morning guy. This is my ideal scenario would be that's what I do on holidays. I get up, go for a run, make breakfast. So I just feed them, bring them to school, nursery, and then I go for a run, and then I go to the office.
This is another controversial one. Can you tell us something that you think is true, but hardly anyone else believes?
I was not seeing Bill Gates bringing us this. So
no, Bill Gates and 5G and all that.
Exactly.
Before AI takes over the entire world and destroys it all, what would your final track be?
I have to play my own one, definitely.
Going back to your sort of life as the producer, DJ, and the rest of it, did you have any sort of artists or DJs that you would classify as heroes to you when you were younger?
Yeah, as I said, I was really 90s, and then I was hanging out with Justin Bergman. So this has been my heroes, David Morales, coming from that scene.
Yeah, we're closer to home. I mean, Sven Veth for us is like the...
Yeah, when I was playing techno, Sven was, of course, one of my heroes. I was going to many parties, seeing Sven in the 90s, and it was always cool. One sound, no peaks. So, for example, I can remember I was there with a former girlfriend in a Munich warehouse, and his last record was Robin S. Show Me Love, played in waves. He had highs, and then he was going down. So it was always amazing DJ. But nowadays, I'm not going that much to see Sven Veth, to be honest. When I was going out, for example, Ibiza Space, I always looked to see Lola because he played, in my eyes, the music I liked. And nowadays,
in my head, didn't he start doing stuff at Cafe Member and then moved out to be like resident in loads of other places as well?
And he played Space. This is where I know him. Yeah. So we played together there. And so I really loved his style. And then playing in San Antonio in Ibiza, and then Marbella, I think is only 100% British. I play for Hair Candy tomorrow. And I just go a day earlier because I wanted to see a few friends who are staying there. And then I'm going over to Marbella to play a residency over the summer, and then go there. Will be a tough one. So I play in the night, and then I have to catch the first flight. Ugh, don't like to. Yeah, I love them.
It's been great to have a chat and catch up with you.
Storm DJs Podcast.